Excellent. Thank you all for coming this evening. Unlike last year, 2026 is very, very active. All of the outer planets are moving. They're doing things. And I have charted this year's information a little bit differently. This is what the future holds. I'm going to go month by month instead of doing certain aspects with certain planets like I've been doing the past several years. This is going to be a little bit easier to understand, I believe, since we do have a lot happening. I'm also going to be reading off of my phone because in its infinite wisdom, my computer didn't want to work to print. So I've got everything here and we're going to get going. So there we go. Hopefully everybody went to astro.com and they got themselves a free natal chart. So you can check when a planet or the moon or the sun or something happens in a certain sign of the zodiac. You can go to that particular house where it lives. Everybody's a little bit different. Usually you see the natal wheel starting with house 1 in Aries. However, not everybody has house 1 in Aries. House 1 is usually what's called your rising sign, and that would be your personality and how you appear to others. So if Aries might be, say, in the 3rd house, that's going to be toward the bottom of the wheel. And you can see what is happening in that particular house. And when we get there, I have little snippets of information for each house and each sign. And I will let you know I made a lot of notes here. All right. Just a second. There we go. Okay. So 2026 is actually a year of dynamic shifts, a lot of transitions, a lot of internal growth and collective renewal. So we're talking mostly community. This is also, just putting this out, it is a number 1 year in numerology. That means beginning, starting new, discovering things, changes, that sort of thing. Number 1 is also represented by the tarot card, the Magician. So lots of possibilities there. It's a transformational year. Let's see here. Went through that. In January, we've got 5 planets plus the moon plus Chiron in Aquarius. This means changes in technology. AI is getting popular. AI technology is about to explode. If you don't already know how to use it, I would suggest at least learning the basics. We have radical change coming by the end of this year. Uranus and Pluto is in harmony in the air sign. In fact, all of the planets this year are going to shift into air signs. Fire and air work together. There'll be a few in the fire, but a lot of air. I've actually structured this with a lot of planetary transits, aspects, retrogrades. I've got a few of the lunar cyclers. There's 4 really big eclipses. And I've actually included a few house themes along with the other planets and the sun and the moon. Let's see. A few of the overreaching tones for 2026 is rebirth and big actions. And like I mentioned before, the outer planets continue really, really powerful changes, such as Neptune moving into Aries, Uranus completing its move into Gemini, Pluto into the sign of Aquarius, and Saturn, which is going to anchor in Aries for like the next almost 30 years, 27, 29 years. So the themes are vision into action, which is really going to be focused on from the Saturn-Neptune connection. Communication, evolution, that's Uranus in Gemini. Collective innovation and rebirth, that's Pluto into Aquarius. All right, we want to have a second. So these are the overview of a lot of the high points that I've put here. There's a lot more of the changes, and there's a lot of energetic key currents also, besides the retrograde cycles. The eclipses are turning points for long-term manifestation this year because of where they're landing. The moon cycles are also bringing bigger emotional depth each month. The planets, of course, move at different rates because of their distance from the sun. The sun actually moves through the entire zodiac, normally one sign per month. The moon cycles every 28 days. Mercury moves through the signs pretty quickly, every 2 to 3 weeks. Venus, also cycles through every 3 to 4 weeks. Mars every 6 to 7 weeks. Let's see. Saturn, which represents outer growth and generational movement, is one of the bigger planets that's a slow mover. Now, the Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto are the slowest that we have. These all set long-term energetic backdrops for all the faster moving planets. Jupiter is actually in Cancer now through June 30th. And then it enters Leo, which is super bold. So we're going from Cancer, which is nurturing, growth, home, emotional securities, into Leo, which is bold creativity and confidence, expansion and self-expression. Saturn is going to go into Pisces. It already did. It's going to stay into Pisces. It's going to go out of Pisces on February 13th and into Aries. This is spiritual discipline, dissolving old structures. It's going to move a little bit forward. It actually is going to retrograde a little bit, I believe, later in the year. And it's going to be in its home in Aries for a long time. So personal responsibility, leadership, identity work, things for the self, things that can help the collective. And in early 2026, which is right now, it's finishing retrograde in Taurus and Gemini. From April 26th onward, Uranus is going to be solidly in Gemini, and it's going to stay there for a little while. So Uranus is unexpected. It's technology. It is things under the ground. And being in Gemini, that's communications, all kinds of technology also. Any kind of innovation, breakthrough, mental freedom. Neptune's also going to go into Aries on January 26th, which is going to mark the beginning of a long-term transit in Aries, just like the other planets in the outer part of the system. This is where imagination, being Neptune, meets the courage of Aries. Really, really good for innovative thinking and creating things. Let's see. Pluto is going to be in Aquarius all year. Profound transformation in technology, of course. I can't really emphasize how important this is going to be for the rest of the year, the technology and the information. It's just going to be wild. It's wonderful. Everything is going to happen quick. In fact, January, there's key months that we're going to have like dog piles of planets in one particular area of the zodiac. January is one of them. April is a little bit volatile. July is going to blow up like crazy. Things are moving quick. And I'm sorry, I don't know why that's in February. There we go. Let's see. So we talked about transformation. We talked about the Magician and 2026 being a universal year in numerology. This month is going to be busy. So the first part, the 1, 2, and 3, we've already had that. Mercury is in Capricorn. Capricorn is an air sign. It's going to move quickly, and it's going to cycle through all the signs this year. Chiron goes direct. It's been retrograde. It goes direct on January 2nd, and it's going to land in Aries. There's a lot of planets going to be in Aries. Third, full moon in Cancer, also known as the cold moon or the wolf supermoon. And then we have Venus in Aquarius, new moon on the 18th. This is coming up. Capricorn, earth sign. The sun is moving into Aquarius, which is an air sign. And then Saturn is going to move into Pisces. It's going to actually do a aspect, which is called sextile, to the planet Uranus, which is in Taurus. This is a good thing. Everybody's heard that trines are wonderful and great and things come easy. A sextile is like half of a trine. It's actually only 2 signs away instead of 4. So expect to have some good opportunities coming in, depending on where your Pisces and where your Taurus are in your natal chart. Let's see. Mercury goes into Aquarius on the 20th, 23rd, Mars into Aries, and then 26th, Neptune goes into Aries also. So we've got a lot of Aries activity. We've got a lot of Aquarius activities in January. Let's see. What else did I note here? Uranus and Pluto, when they make an aspect, a good aspect, they're in total harmony with each other in air signs, which is communication, harmony, good things happening. Usually people think of Pluto as the explosive planet, and it can be. If it's well aspected, good things can happen permanently. This is of the planet of permanence. So if you think about the Tower card, the Tower is a Pluto card. Okay. Let's see. I just found it. January 14th to 18th, all the planets except for the moon are all in one hemisphere. And that's actually never happened. I looked it up. It's very odd. So they're going to dogpile up. In August, when we get there, that is a very, very possible spiritual awakening for the collective, the community, the entire world. Let's see here. Besides the full moon in Capricorn, which means illumination of ambition, discipline, grounding, we have the new moon in Capricorn, also energy for planting and foundational goals. So if you're changing jobs or homes or even considering a different field, get in on the bottom floor. Build your strong foundation so you can keep going. Let's see, planetary shifts. We've already talked about that. When Neptune enters Aries, that's that wonderful creativity. Neptune actually also is moving pictures, the movies, TV, it's photography, things like that. It's also dreams, and it can be representative of past life karma. Some of the focus themes this month, January, are identity and initiation to reclaim the self, your personal self. Your values and self-worth will deepen. Career aims will clarify when the moon goes into Capricorn. Let's see. key aspects and transits. January 1 and let's see, 1 and 2, we have some things going to support forward momentum. The sun will sextile, there's that word again. So that's a good thing. It's not super good like a trine, it's half of a trine. The sun sextiles North Node, which is super supportive. Mars and Uranus come together, and that can cause a little tension. It's a sesquicentennial. They wrote this word wrong. It's basically half of a square. It's a quincunx is the way I learned it. That could possibly bring up some tension, and it will urge your creative action. Venus also sextiles the North Node, just like the sun. But a day later, this is dealing with values which align with your destiny in life. Moving on to January 21st, the sun and Mercury and Pluto are in what's called a stellium, which are right together. They're in practically the same place. They're all in Capricorn. Okay. So if you think about the sun, that's clarity, that's leadership, that's opening your eyes to things. Mercury, that's communication. Pluto, rebuilding or foundational work. So deep clarity about purpose. Intentional focus. Align with your vision. Be disciplined. Definitely do your homework. Do your research. Okay, and we're going to go on to February. February 1st, full moon in Leo. That's the snow moon or the quickening moon. Let's see. Some of the keywords for this next month, February, are activation and inner realignment. We also have an eclipse portal opening, and that's going to be on the 17th, the new moon annual solar eclipse in Aquarius. It's also the Lunar New Year, from what I found out. So, when Saturn enters Aries, that's when structure meets self-leadership. When Saturn conjuncts Neptune, it really grounds us into practical steps. Mercury is also going retrograde at the end of February in Pisces. This is going to bring a renewal of your spiritual goals. Some of the focus themes are community, identity reformation, maybe review your aspirations. It's inner reflection. So remember, retrogrades are not bad things, especially Mercury, which kind of gets a bad rap. If you think about renewing, reviewing, and redoing some of what you already have, instead of thinking like, oh my gosh, I've got to start over. It's a lot different. You can actually remain positive and have a good attitude, and a lot easier if you think, okay, I'm going to review and renew and just keep going forward. All right. Try not to start things. Anytime we have Mercury, which rules transportation, communication, anything along those lines, try not to sign any major contracts. Don't get major car work done unless you absolutely need it. And be careful of communications and expect delays. Mercury's wonderful for delays. So if you just kind of build in extra time to do things, then you're golden. Let's see. Mercury retrograde is also going to continue into March. The major aspects we need to be aware of are when Saturn enters Aries. Aries is a fire sign. Things really move fast. That's going to happen on the 13th of February. It's also going to conjunct Neptune in Aries. And that's on the 20th, a couple of days later. So this is where discipline meets spiritual vision in regard to self-development. Okay? So again, foundational work. A couple of tips I wanted to give you. Eclipse shifts and creates new cycles. So plant your seeds for a 6-month vision. If you have something you want to do, there you go, right there. It's time to start. Manifestation tip: reflect before launching anything. Refine your intentions and keep going. If you need to redo, it's a good time. If we're already under a retrograde, so just keep going, or you can put it aside, think about it, and relax and rest. In March, we have deep reflection time. This is a time of rebirth and realization of what's happening. Mars is going into Pisces. Let's see. On the 3rd, we have a nice full moon. It's a total lunar eclipse in Virgo. So it's that bloodworm moon or storm moon. You can actually call it either one. March the 6th, Venus in Aries. Then we have Jupiter going direct in Cancer, new moon in Pisces. The sun moves into the sign of Aries March 20th. And also the same day, Mercury turns direct in Pisces. So we've got a little bit of water and fire going here. Pisces is water, Aries is fire. Cancer is also water. So water everywhere. On the 28th, Saturn goes into Saturn in Aries sextiles. That's half of the trine. Pluto in Aquarius. So Saturn is a lot of responsibilities. Saturn is the planet that makes you sit up and open your eyes and take notice of what must be done. Okay, and being in Aries with Pluto in Aquarius, Aquarius is very innovative. It's also very revolutionary. 30th, Venus moves into Taurus. So during that total lunar eclipse in Virgo with the full moon, try to think about releasing perfectionism. Embrace healing rituals. You don't have to be perfect. Get it done to your satisfaction. Don't harp on things, right? When Mercury turns direct, things are going to become clearer and more inner wisdom will emerge. This month, health and service rhythms can come into focus and align with each other, as can deep subconscious integration of whatever you're dealing with. Aspects that I want to note: Venus, Neptune, and Saturn can form a supportive alignment in early March when they come together. And your inner values and structures will align with your soul's calling. So what you came here in this life to do. That's part of your soul contract that you make with the universe before you're born. Okay, let's see. Positive focus here. You can refine your work. You can refine your health routines. You can have a lot of practical situations that maybe you can improve. You can put a positive focus on things that no longer serve you or support your well-being. So redo those. Get rid of what you don't need, and then you can come out stronger. Keep that positive intention. Close the chapters compassionately that don't serve you. Okay? Be kind to yourself. Be kind to your situation. Doesn't matter what it is. Be kind to yourself. Okay? So that's part of self-care. Make the space for creativity also. All right. So March the 30th, Venus goes into Taurus. And we hit April, which is a little bit quiet. All right. It's all about breakthroughs and expansion, transitions, and communication. Full moon in Libra. That's our pink moon, also known as a wind moon. Mars moving into Aries. There's that fire again. Mercury moves into Aries. There's that fire. New moon in Aries. There's that fire. Sun on the 19th will actually change signs into Taurus. And then the next few days, both Venus and Uranus move into Gemini. So again, Aries, we've got that fire, we've got that air. When we have the new moons and the Uranus in Gemini, unexpected insights and communications can happen. Uranus enacts fresh mental flexibility also. So embrace new ideas with curiosity, ground those big inspiration ideas, and see if you can revision something that's not clear. Focus on communication and study. Maintain your network, your local connections. Planetary shifts. Uranus is going to re-enter Gemini on April 26th. That's going to bring in innovation in communication and big ideas beginning in earnest for this year. When Uranus conjuncts Venus in late Taurus, early Gemini, there's going to be an era of excitement in relationships and creative expression. New moon cycles. The new moon in Aries is going to reinforce that self-direction that started back in January and February. So a big tip here I'd like to give you, reinforce self-direction. Okay, let me say that again. Reinforce your self-direction. Don't beat yourself up. Give yourself compassion. Give yourself a lot of grace. Be open to unexpected news or insights this month that can refresh your ideas, and then they can reframe your direction. Moving into May, that's all about growth and relationships, deep inner awareness, which can meet outer expectation and expression. Okay, we got a long list of stuff. It's not nearly as long as July, but we'll get there. May 1st, full moon in Scorpio, our flower moon. Mercury in Taurus, Pluto goes retrograde in Aquarius. Now, when that turns retrograde, inner transformations can happen. The full moon in Scorpio and Sagittarius, because we have a blue moon, we have 2 full moons this month, one on the 1st, one on the 31st. All right. Those can both bring in emotional depth if you're seeking truth, or if you're researching something, or if you're focusing on self-improvement. You can also focus on the 8th house, which is intimacy, power, shadow work. It can also bring in more resources. Your belief systems can expand when we have Pluto going retrograde here in Aquarius. Remember, Aquarius is expansion, it is revolution, it's self-expression, it's big. The last time that Aquarius really got big and got noticed was back in the 60s. Think about everything that happened, all the revolution, all of the chaos that happened, and it developed into something positive and kept going. Let's see here. So when Pluto retrogrades in Aquarius early in January and then turns retrograde May 6, deep transformation can begin. Okay. Sun conjunct Uranus, big flare-ups of insight, especially in group ideas. Evolve how you connect, how you think, how you can work with others. Dive deeper into meaningful connections. Which brings us, after our wonderful blue moon in Sagittarius, to June. So June is embodied with confidence and emotional rebalancing and expansion. So we have Mercury in Cancer, Venus in Leo, new moon in Gemini. Hey, there's that air sign again. So we have water, fire, air, and then earth. Taurus is earth. Okay, right off the bat, right there. New moon in Gemini looks really nice. 19th, Chiron, that's our wounded healer, moves into Taurus. So wherever Taurus lands in your chart, that wounded healer has come to help you heal and recuperate and redo maybe ideas or some inner thoughts. Allow people to help you, allow networking, and you will come out very innovative and a lot more positive and a lot more clear thinking. The sun moves into Cancer on the 21st. Mars moves into Gemini on the 28th. Then Mercury turns retrograde again. This happens about 3, sometimes 4 times a year when it overlaps another year. So this is our second one, retrogrades in Cancer. The same day, we have a full moon in Capricorn. This is our strawberry or our strong sun moon. The 30th, the next day, Jupiter moves into Leo. Okay. Now, Mercury retrograde into Cancer, I want to back up just a little bit. This one is interesting because it can bring up emotional patterns and home life issues. Revisit these if you need to. It's actually going to bring it to focus so you can fix things. All right. Jupiter, when it goes into Leo, is all about joy, creativity, bold self-expression. Some other focus you can work on in June is creativity. Romance is awesome because it's the Cancer season. And self-expression. Get to know your roots, your emotional foundation. Let's see here. Talked about that. Another thing about Jupiter in Leo, expect thrilling expansion in creativity, romance, confidence, beginning in June. The exact dates are going to vary depending on what site you look at. Okay. A few major aspects, of course, Mercury retrograde and the new moon in Gemini. And I would like to invite you to use this affirmation when you need it. Say, I step into joy with heart and courage. That's the affirmation for June that I want to give you. I step into joy with heart and courage. So that brings us from June to July. Things are happening big time. Yeah. This is where we get to have some fun. So July is about inner vision meeting outer action. So think about that for just a second. If you have a vision in your head and you want to put it into action, this is a good time to do it. Plus, inner reviews and personal reinvention can happen this month. Jupiter in Leo squares Chiron, that's our wounded healer, which is in Taurus. Taurus is a very practical earth sign. July 7th, Neptune turns retrograde in Aries. On the 9th, Venus moves into Virgo. 14th, new moon in Cancer. Yay! We like new moons. New moons are the beginnings of things. Remember, full moon is like a culmination, but when you have a new moon, then that's a really good beginning. And somebody tipped me off, I think it was probably my mentor years and years ago. When you have a new moon, the energies actually expand one day before and one day after. So you can actually use that new moon energy the day before the new moon, the day of the new moon, and the day after. So if you look at July 14th, new moon in Cancer, that would mean the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th. You can use that new moon energy. You can create a spell. You can call in the energies for a certain communicative, creative project. You can create a crystal grid, work on something personal. We also have Uranus moving on the 15th. It's going to be in Gemini. It's going to sextile Neptune, which is really good. Unexpected things are going to happen. Be careful of Neptune when good things happen. If it turns in reverse, Neptune is also a sign of addiction, like either drugs or alcohol or something else, even sex addicts. Okay? So try to stay positive. Remember, a little is a lot. When you start getting good things, sometimes it comes in bundles. Pick and choose. You don't have to take everything. Remember, no is a good word. just like yes. On the 18th, Uranus in Gemini is going to trine Aquarius. So we have that sextile, which is half of a trine, is good things. Now we have really good things 3 days later. Okay? So Pluto and Uranus play really good together. On the 20th, Jupiter and Leo trine Neptune. There's that Neptune thing again. All these planets are bunching up. Jupiter and Leo is also in opposition to Pluto in Aquarius. So be careful right there. An opposition is when something can get a little harder to do. It's also when a challenge can arise that you need to face. And take a step back, think about it, and then figure out what you need to do. July 22nd, Sun moves into Leo. We're getting into Leo territory. It's also almost the beginning of the Lion's portal. Okay. Saturn retrogrades in Aries on the 26th. On the 25th, the day before, Neptune in Aries sextiles Pluto. So we had Jupiter in opposition on the 20th to Pluto. Now we have Neptune sextile Pluto. So if you got a hobby or a job that deals with pictures or moving pictures or TV or something technology-wise, this could be a good time to move forward or investigate a new area of that hobby or that career. Let's see. Mercury retrograde also turns direct on the 23rd. Definitely want to mention that. There's a couple of retrogrades for Mercury. They're a little short. They're a little over 3 weeks. Usually it's between 3 and 4 weeks. In 2025, we had a couple of long retrogrades around 4 weeks, I believe it was. And they're getting back to where they should be, a little bit shorter. 3 weeks is not that bad. It's like when any planet goes into a retrograde, but especially Mercury, it's a little disruptive. You can kind of feel it in your soul a little bit. Something is just slightly off. Don't forget, back off and breathe a little bit. Take a little extra time for yourself if you need it, and then move on. When people start to settle into retrogrades about the middle of the cycle, things start to calm down. And toward the end of the retrograde cycle, then it can get a little hairy again, a little chaotic. So if you've ever noticed things kind of ramp up a little bit right before a retrograde and then calm down and then ramp up again, that's what's happening. It's because of the planetary movement around the sun. A couple of the focus themes I wanted to mention are purpose and career recalibration. Okay, this is only if you need to. Think about it. If you are trying to be more innovative, or if you're trying to step up in your career or find a new job, this is the time to actually focus on what you really want, but make sure it's what you really want, if that makes sense. You can also rediscover your personal drive, something your soul wants you to do in this lifetime. So there's a lot of stuff happening here. We've got a couple of conjunctions, which means planets are living in the same place. They're almost like one on top of each other. Let's see. Mars is going to conjunct Uranus in Gemini, which is going to bring really bold, sudden actions in communications, ideas, or technology. You can also redefine how you present yourself with new skills and communication tools. And that full moon in Aquarius is going to be really good for group energy that amplifies innovation. Now, here's some mojo for you for this month, because it is so busy and there's so many energies flying around. Think about how we translate soul visions into inspired plans and then bring them to fruition. Okay? So your soul visions are what's going to come to the surface. Which brings us to August. Remember that Lion's Gate porthole is open. It opens right around the 25th of July, and it stays open until around the 10th or the 12th of August. You've got all that time to use that wonderful Leo sun energy. Sun rules Leo. Okay, so wherever Leo is in your chart, it could be the first house, could be the 8th house, could be the 4th house, then you can be innovative with all of this good energy. August also has an eclipse portal, which means expansion and activation. And there's not as much happening in August as there is with July. However, it's just as important. We've got that full moon partial lunar eclipse in Pisces for our sturgeon or corn moon. A partial eclipse still has that eclipse energy. This is a real good time to put out a little jar for moon water that you can do spells, or you can do maybe personal bath and body creations and recipes with. Toward the end of the month, Jupiter moves into Leo and it trines Saturn, which is in Aries. So Leo and Aries are both fire signs, fire and fire. These play very, very well together. Innovative, creative ideas, big ideas. Jupiter is known as the great benefic. Venus is known as the lesser benefic. Still good. It's like the sextile with the trine. Venus is to Jupiter the same way. Jupiter is big, it's expansive, it can be explosive. That partial lunar eclipse in Pisces, it can be an emotional release with compassion. Okay? Focused on pure creative expression through this Lionsgate portal. Be very intent. Really focus on your intention. Be very clear on what you want. Be careful that your intuition doesn't get off, or you push your intuition on what you want instead of what it's telling you. It could close up, so don't let that happen. Stick with your creativity. It's also a spiritual openness that happens through August. Let's see some of the other aspects we've got. Let's see, Pluto, Neptune, Mercury, and Venus are right there, making the atmosphere and the energies really rich for breakthroughs, both personally and for collective transformation. Focus on more love, attraction, self-expression. Don't forget, eclipses help power major resets. So it's like, okay, review this, renew this, reset. You can start over if you want. Choose your intentions wisely. Use the eclipse portals to let go of old patterns and welcome this inspired rebirth. Which leads us into September. A little bit busier than August, not as much so as July. We're starting to get a little bit quiet here. September is full of integration and discipline, plus discipline and partnership harmony, which is good because this is where we get into the Virgo area, which is ruled by Venus, and Venus loves relationships and harmony and beauty and good things in life. So if you'll notice right off the bat, 4 things happen on September the 10th. Venus goes into Scorpio, that's water. Mercury goes into Libra, that's air. Uranus retrogrades in Gemini, that's also air. Plus we have a new moon in Virgo, that's earth. Lots of stuff happening. Super, super power packed. Then we get Neptune in Aries, which sextiles, that's a good thing, Pluto in Aquarius. So that's on the 15th. 17th, the Chiron goes retrograde. Some people call it Chiron. I've always called it Chiron. Retrograde, and it enters Aries. It's already retrograde. It's going into a new sign. So it was in Pisces. It's going into Aries. On the 22nd, the sun actually moves into Libra. So Our Venus energy is going to start waning, and our Libra balance energy is going to become the focus. Full moon in Aries, that's fire. That's our big harvest moon. Aries is also ruled by Mars, which the next day moves into Leo, also a fire sign. Really, really big energy here. Be careful of blow-ups, communication problems, anything that could go wrong. Double check, maybe even triple check. Just be aware that this is volatile energy for these couple of days. On the 30th, Mercury goes into Scorpio. Okay. Scorpio is a water sign. It's also very deep thinkers. People that postulate ideas that are kind of far out and far-fetched. When Venus enters Scorpio, that's also emotional depth, and it can transform love and values that you have. Some of the focus things for this month: partnership deepens with honest discourse. Okay, communication, really big. Balance your ambition with connection. Okay. Let's see. When Mars squares Pluto, that is going to bring a deep awareness for psychic work and asserting healthy boundaries. Okay. So if you've got somebody or something you're dealing with, you might want to stand your ground, rethink what you're doing, and redo your boundaries. Emphasis on healthy boundaries. Also, identity, relationship depth, and shared transformation is also pulled into the forefront. Full moon in Pisces also brings out the inner compassion for everybody, whether they want to admit it or not. A tip here: work with the edges. Discipline brings freedom. So it's like when we were talking about perfectionism. Don't worry about being perfect. You can get it done, and it can be beautiful, whatever it is. It can be functional. It can work. Let's see. We're going into October after Mercury goes into Scorpio. October is kind of quiet. We do have a couple of quiet months. The theme for October is inner appreciation. Review and revise, and don't be afraid to actually dive in and look at the depth of whatever you're reviewing and revising. Venus goes retrograde in Scorpio. Let's see, we just had something going to Scorpio, right? Yeah, we've got another thing in Scorpio. So on the 10th, new moon goes into Libra. Libra is wonderful. It's nice, it's calm, it's balanced. So remember, 3 days of the new moon, that would be the 9th, 10th, and the 11th. You can get things going. On the 15th, Pluto finally turns direct in Aquarius. Yay! Remember, Aquarius is all about revolutions. It's innovative, depending on where it lands in your chart. It can also mean something else that pertains to the house where it lives. We're talking specifically Pisces. All right, so the sun moves into Scorpio on the 23rd. The next day, Mercury, for the last time this year, turns retrograde. Guess what? In Scorpio. Yeah, lots of Scorpio energy flying around here. The next day, Venus goes retrograde in Libra, or Venus retrograde enters Libra, excuse me. So it's going to calm down a little bit. Full moon in Taurus, or hunter's moon, also called blood moon, happens on the 26th. Venus retrograde invites you to revisit your love, your finance, your aesthetics. Again, Mercury retrograde, especially in Scorpio, asks you to look and refine your communication about deep desires. Focuses here can be about value and self-worth. You can revisit themes for your inner worth, revisit relationship patterns, re-examine what's going on, renew it, make it better. October 21st, Mercury goes retrograde in Scorpio. Okay, be careful of your communication. Venus, when it goes retrograde, kind of stirs a revolution of love and values. Okay, so there's a lot of Scorpio going on here. There's a lot of retrogrades and movement, even though it's a quiet month. This can bring inner, deep emotional dialogue, communication, community reintegration, and partnership reassessments can happen. So put a positive spin on whatever situation is challenging you. Heal past wounds with empathy. Okay? Focus on the Venus. Excuse me. Focus on this season. We're starting to get into the holidays with October, November, December, January, and it kind of just carries on now. We've got something pretty much every month. Be kind to yourself here. So after our wonderful full moon in Taurus, we got November. We got a new moon on the 9th in Scorpio. We got Mercury going direct. So there's that 3-week thing right there. It's short. The 13th, Mercury goes direct in Scorpio. Venus also goes direct in Libra. That's super important. November is all about clarity, bold choices, and clarity after reflection of whatever you're dealing with. Okay. On the 22nd, the sun moves into Sagittarius. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the great benefic. Big expansion, big ideas, big things happening. It can also mean higher learning, higher education, higher publishing, or publishing if you're not published. It can mean long distance travels. It can be adventure. On the 24th, we have a wonderful full moon in Gemini. This is our morning moon or beaver moon. The next day on the 25th, Mars goes into Virgo. Okay, so we have the fiery planet into an earth sign. It's going to calm Mars energies down just a little bit. On the 29th, Uranus goes into Gemini, and this is really pretty. It's going to trine Pluto, which is in Aquarius. Gemini and Aquarius are both air signs, so they're going to be very nice and very harmonious together. Some of the focus things for November this month. Let's see, courage meets creativity. Adventure meets wisdom. Let's see. We've talked about the access. The sun does oppose Uranus at one point, which sparks insights. It can bridge inner freedom with internal directions, and it can possibly lead to romance or partnered collaboration, which can actually flourish because of the attention. I want to give you another affirmation for November here. I create with intention and joy. I create with intention and joy, which leads us after the 29th into our last month of the year, the 2nd. We have a wonderful trine here. We just had a lovely trine, and that was Uranus in Gemini, which trined Pluto in Aquarius. We got another one right here, right off the bat. Jupiter in Leo trines Chiron in Aries. Remember, Leo and Aries are both fire signs. So the wounded healer meets up with the great benefic. This is a wonderful, wonderful healing time, either mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. On the 4th, Venus moves into Scorpio. Okay, so we're going to have a lot of earthy, beauty, homey activities and energies moving into Scorpio, which is deep and is full of depth, and it's watery. On the 6th, Mercury is going to go into Sagittarius. A couple of days later, we have a new moon in Sagittarius. Remember that 3 days of the new moon. On the 10th, we've got Saturn going direct in Aries. There's that fire sign. Then we have Neptune going direct in Aries. Same day, Jupiter goes retrograde in Leo. So check it out. We've got Aries, Sagittarius, Aries, Leo, Lots and lots of fire happening. So be aware that December could be a little bit volatile. We've got those wonderful fiery energies moving around. Try to focus on relaxation, breathing, getting rid of stress. It's a stressful time anyway for things to happen, especially when we get retrogrades and we get shoppers in our way and we get things that don't get delivered, yada, yada, yada. Be kind to yourself. Remember, self-care is not selfish. I've been saying that for decades and I'm starting to see it everywhere right now. It's wonderful. On the 21st, the sun moves into Capricorn. Capricorn is a wonderful earth sign. It's also very conscientious about work and about home. Being an earth sign, it's pretty practical, usually depending on the aspects in your birth chart. On the 23rd, a couple of days later, full moon in Cancer, we have a super cold moon, or also what's called a long night's moon. On Christmas, Mercury goes into Capricorn, 25th. Focus themes for this month: new self-definition. Think about it. We've had a lot of self-assessment the past 6-7 months. We've had aspects and energies asking us to review our soul's desires and our focus for whatever it is we want in life. It's revisiting here. New self-definition. It's asking you to actually finalize your ambitions, your soul ambitions, what you want to bring into fruition so you can go into 2027. Retrogrades ending December 10th. Saturn goes direct in Aries. There's that fire again. Look at that. This will reestablish responsibility and personal structure. Okay? When Neptune on the 12th of December stations direct in Aries, and then Jupiter also turns retrograde in Leo, that's air and water that kind of cancels out a little bit, maybe a little bit muggy. Don't let it muddle your thinking. Okay. Let's see here. When Mercury opposes Uranus and trines Neptune and Saturn at the same time this month, brilliant problem solving and grounded intuition can evolve, and it can come to the surface, and it can help you deal with certain challenges. Identity can be reaffirmed with purpose and wisdom from the entire year, which can crystallize into focus. Okay. Think about integrating what you've learned, carving a path of aligned purpose. Okay. So that's a lot to unpack for this entire year. And remember, no matter where the sign lands in your particular birth chart, these are going to happen in that area. So if it's like in the 3rd house, that's creativity. It can be communication. If it's in the 11th house, let's say, that's hopes, wishes, goals, dreams. It's also you owning your own company, having your own business. It is, let's see, expectations of what you want. Some of the yearly recurring themes that I ran across: intentional integration. Remember, retrogrades invite refinement, bringing vision into action. That's that Saturn plus Saturn plus Neptune plus Jupiter's placement, which support grounded and joyful manifestation. This is an awesome, awesome year for manifestation. Not just the Lion's Portal in August, but when you see something or feel something, and you'll know it. It's like every once in a while you'll feel kind of off and you don't know why, or you have a general malaise, but you're not sick. Those are those energies around you that you're feeling. Okay. Intentional integration. Be joyful about your manifestations, even if they fail, because failure gives you a chance to learn. It's not like you failed, you learned something. Think about learning something to make it better. Let's see here. Don't forget about the eclipse portals. We got 4 big eclipses. These are moments of transformation that you can harness consciously. Here's an invitation for you. 2026 is actually your cosmic canvas. With all this awareness of the air and the fire energies and the rhythm and flow, you can flow with challenges and especially upcoming things that happen. Try not to react negatively. Just take a breath, think positive, and kind of just go into it focused. You can come out better by learning what not to do or what to do. Bring your inner harmony and empowered outward expression for the best outcome you can. And don't be afraid to manifest whatever you're dreaming. Now, I want to tell you to be bright and have clear paths and make your intention clear and keep your heart open as the stars guide you forward in this 2026 year. Remember, it's a number 1 magician year. I want to thank you and see if you have any questions, comments, or observations that you would like to have answered. I know this was a lot of information.